Amidst the rising petrol and diesel prices, the opposition has started training its guns at the Modi government, accusing the central government of fleecing citizens. Upping the ante against the centre, the Congress staged protests at multiple places nationwide, while the BJP's ally, the Janata Dal United, has also raised concerns about multiple increases in fuel prices. Here's our lead story tonight.
Fuel prices at a historic high. 11 consecutive days of a price hike. Petrol prices above the 100 rupee mark in many states. The opposition is now training its guns on the Narendra Modi government at the centre, accusing it of robbing citizens to fill its coffers.
Fuel loot has become the mantra of the Bharatiya Janata Party. Modi ji clearly says, "Hum do hamare do, diesel 90, petrol 100." 20 lakh crore have been fleeced from people of India, from middle and salaried class, from farmer over last 7 years by Modi government by taxes on petrol and diesel. Where has that money gone?
The Congress, in an attempt to corner the government on an issue that affects the masses, has staged protests in many parts of the country. It has called a Bandh in Madhya Pradesh on Saturday. The politics over fuel prices, incidentally, has put Bollywood stars in the line of fire in Maharashtra. The state Congress chief threatened to block the shooting of films starring actors who had criticized the UPA government over fuel prices but are conspicuously silent now.
कच्चे तेल के दाम कम होने के बाद भी जिस तरह से डीजल पेट्रोल के दाम बढ़ाकर हिंदुस्तान की जनता के जेब काटने का महापाप भाजपा की नरेंद्र मोदी की सरकार जो कर रही है, आप क्यों नहीं बोल रहे हैं? अब अगर वो नहीं बोलेंगे या न्याय के विरोध में नहीं बोलेंगे तो हम महाराष्ट्र में अमिताभ बच्चन का शूटिंग, अभी अक्षय कुमार की शूटिंग, उनके पिक्चर भी रिलीज नहीं होने देंगे.
The Congress's stand, however, is not endorsed by its ally, the Shiv Sena.
उनकी जो प्रतिक्रिया आई है, उसके ऊपर मैं कोई टिप्पणी या प्रतिक्रिया नहीं देना चाहता. पिछले 2-2.5 महीने से किसान वहां आंदोलन कर रहे हैं. बहुत बड़ी सर्दी थी, ठंड था. उस वक्त आपने ठंड पानी के बौछारें ऊपर बार दी. अब ये सारे महानुभाव शांति क्यों बनाए रखे थे, क्यों खामोश थे, ये मेरा सवाल है.
Patole's outburst against Bollywood has given the BJP a handle to fire back at the Maharashtra Vikas Aghadi.
महाराष्ट्र सरकारमध्ये आम्ही असताना आम्ही टॅक्सेस ऍडजस्ट केले होते, त्याने कुठलंही आर्थिक नुकसान होत नाही. जो अधिकचा फायदा आहे तो फायदाच केवळ त्या ठिकाणी कमी होतो. महाराष्ट्र सरकार जाणीवपूर्वक या ठिकाणी हे करत नाहीये. उलट मागच्या बजेटमध्ये महाराष्ट्र सरकारने त्याच्यावरचे टॅक्सेस वाढवलेले आहेत आणि कॅस्केडिंग इफेक्टनी त्यामुळे अच्छे पैसे महाराष्ट्रातल्या लोकांना द्यावे लागतात.
सोनिया गांधी को अमिताभ बच्चन और अक्षय कुमार से माफी मांगनी चाहिए और महाराष्ट्र के कांग्रेस अध्यक्ष नाना पटोले के खिलाफ कार्रवाई करनी चाहिए.
What would worry the BJP is the divide within its camp. Ally JDU has joined the opposition in raising questions over soaring fuel prices.
नीतीश कुमार जी पहले ही इस पर अपनी चिंता व्यक्त कर चुके हैं. हम जेडीयू सहयोगी दल होने के नाते चाहते हैं कि बढ़ी हुई कीमतें वापस ली.
तो इसके लिए सरकार को कुछ कदम उठाने चाहिए.
हाँ, बिल्कुल उठाने चाहिए और मजबूती के साथ जो सामान्य जन है, जो गरीब है, जो उपभोक्ता है, उसके आर्थिक हितों का ध्यान रखना चाहिए.
After farmers' agitation, the opposition parties have been quick to latch on to the fuel price hike issue to target Modi government. Congress party will soon launch a nationwide digital campaign while its leaders will hit the road. With camera person Krishan Kumar, this is Anand Patel in New Delhi for India Today.
So crude oil is largely imported into India, and I want to now just spend a moment comparing how much a litre of petrol and diesel costs in India with what it does in some of our neighboring countries, because they're also importing crude. India is importing crude, and yet you and I are paying a lot more for petrol and diesel than our neighborhood. Take a look at this report.
Fuel prices at a record high, burning holes in the common man's pockets. The rise in prices is unprecedented. Petrol has crossed the 100 mark in many states. The big metros are also inching towards the 100 mark, with prices hiked for the 11th consecutive day. This at a time when India's neighboring countries like Nepal, Sri Lanka, Pakistan and Bangladesh are selling fuel at cheaper rates. The government blames global factors for the price rise. Crude oil prices have increased by over 50% since October last year. To boost prices, major oil producers like Saudi Arabia and Russia have cut production by 10 million barrels a day, thereby cutting the supply. Most importantly, fuel remains a cash cow for both centre and states, who have increased excise taxes and sale taxes to boost revenues. The centre, for instance, has raised the excise duty on petrol by more than 13 rupees in the past 1 year. On the other hand, excise duty on diesel was hiked by more than 16 rupees. While the opposition is accusing the government of boosting its revenues at the expense of common man, Prime Minister Narendra Modi earlier in the week blamed previous governments for not focusing on reducing India's energy dependence.
I want to say, had we focused on these subjects much earlier, our middle class would not be burdened. Now, it is our collective duty to work towards clean and green source of energy.
Fuel remains a major source of revenue for the government, which is struggling to bridge the deficit in a pandemic year. With the government planning to hike its spend on infrastructure in the coming fiscal, it has no room to cut taxes on fuel. Bureau Report, India Today.
In April 2020, crude oil prices were at $19 a barrel. They're now at roughly $65 a barrel. And just over the past few days, the taxes being levied on fuel have been increased as well. I'll give you an example. The central government's excise duty on petrol at the beginning of 2020 was 19.98, almost 20 rupees. It's now been increased to 32.90, that's 33 rupees. Whereas on diesel, at the beginning of the year, the excise duty was 15.83, that's now up to 31.80. When international prices are rising, is the government taking citizens for granted just because the middle class isn't opposing, isn't out on the streets, isn't creating a shindy in the way that they did when Manmohan Singh was in government? Can the central government just get away by increasing prices any which way they want? When is the time when citizens will rise and say enough is enough? You may need resources to run the government, but there's a limit to how much you can squeeze out of us. Joining us on the news track, I want to welcome first and foremost Narendra Taneja. Apart from being a BJP spokesperson, he's also one of our top experts on international energy, crude oil, and therefore I thought he'd be a good fit for this discussion. Squaring off against him, Supriya Srinath, who again has a good understanding of economic issues and also fuel pricing. For two contrarian perspectives, I'm joined by Professor Arun Kumar. He's taught economics at the Jawaharlal Nehru University, and squaring off against him is Sanjeev Ahluwalia from the Observer Research Foundation, because there is another theory in circles of those who support the government. This is actually wise, that they want us to pay more, because if you feel the pinch, you will move faster towards clean energy, towards electric vehicles, and therefore it's all right, so that your next car is per force an EV and not a diesel or fuel or a petrol car. So that said, let's get started. Narendra Taneja, if Manmohan Singh was in government and you were in opposition, by now you'd be burning his effigies every single day. You'd have national jams and buns and hartals and say this is not okay. You are taking the middle class for granted, that you're increasing tax day after day, and the time has come when the people of India just stand up and say enough is enough. This is not okay. You need to slash taxes.
Well, Rahul, the petroleum sector, like many other strategic sectors, are dynamic. Situation 2021 is very different. The global economy is passing through a very turbulent time. Coronavirus is still there. And we've seen that, majority of economies, including India, one of the fastest growing economy in the world, has also suffered. So therefore, the ground realities are very, very different. The first 3 months of this fiscal year, as you know, that economy was almost had come to complete standstill. The result was the central government as well as the state governments. You see, it's not about Congress or BJP or TMC and all that. Every single government or every single state government, we all suffered. And the result is that, our economic position about the center, for that matter, state governments, including Rajasthan, which is the highest state taxes, is more or less the same. So now the point here is that, when we compare that, let's say the ground realities and fundamentals today and the 2 years back, 3 years back and all that, we can compare, but then the story...
No, you're worried about your finances and I hear you. What about my finances? What about the finances of every single person who's watching this broadcast? Many have been laid off, salaries in some sectors have been cut, some have been restored, but many haven't. So I appreciate your concern for your government's finances. What about our finances, Mr. Taneja?
No, the government, Rahul, government finances, whether at the center of the states, are for the people. I don't say that Rajasthan, which is ruled by Congress, finances are for Mr. Gehlot. It's for the people. You see, we are talking about finances for the people because here we are talking of the government. But at the same time, not a single welfare scheme concerning those people who are underprivileged or poor, who need support, not a single paisa has been cut. You get petrol and diesel across the country, you get LPG across the country. In fact, while we talk, we are adding more people into that. At the same time, all the welfare schemes, you compared India with Nepal and Pakistan and all, these are not welfare state. Nepal is not a welfare state. They do almost nothing for, that. Pakistan is not a welfare state. Do you want India to be like Nepal?
Okay, let me get opening comments from Supriya Srinath that the government needs money to spend on welfare schemes, that the welfare allocations across schemes are going up. Yes, it's a pinch on your pocket, but the government's lost revenue as well and they need to make that up. Supriya Srinath.
With all due respect to Mr. Taneja, who I have interviewed and have interacted multiple times on fuel economy, I feel sad that on a day like today, when he should be talking real economics, he's forced to defend his party's faulty policy. And I will tell you why. I feel sorry for him. I feel sorry because when he says welfare schemes, he forgets that fuel is inflationary and high inflation impacts the poor the most. This is bad economics. When you have high fuel prices, means vegetable prices will be higher, means prices of transport will be higher. You are impacting the poor the most, sir, is what you forget. So that's the first hole I want to pick in your argument. The second hole I want to pick in your argument, I didn't want to make it political, but because you kept talking about Rajasthan, for your kind information, sir, Rajasthan has just reduced VAT by 2% 2 weeks back, taking a hit of 1,000 crore rupees. The central government is sitting on revenues of states worth 7 lakh crore rupees to the GST. I am not saying that. The Finance Commission in its report has said so. Madhya Pradesh, where, the prices went up. I feel sorry for those chief ministers as well, because no chief minister can actually squeeze revenue right now. They are not getting money from the center. The elbow room to reduce is with the center, and I'll tell you how. When we were in government, the excise duty on diesel was 3.5 rupees per litre. Today, it is at over 32 rupees. When we were in government, it was 9 rupees per litre excise on petrol. Today, it is at over 33. The elbow room is with the government. They've made a windfall gain over the last 24 lakh crore rupees. I want to say just one thing. Mr. Modi said bitter pill. I think the country said, okay, we'll take the bitter pill. But what they forget is that there is a leap of faith that the country took. When you deregulated diesel, or when we deregulated petrol, we said when prices of international crude will go down, people will benefit. That's what happened in our regime. Petrol prices were going down whenever crude fluctuated and went down.
No, so that's an important point you make.
Crude has gone down.
Let Narendra Taneja respond. When crude went down to $19 a barrel, you never reduced the price of fuel. And at this time, and I want viewers to hear this and absorb this clearly, on every litre of petrol you buy, you and I are paying the government 33 rupees of excise duty. On diesel, we are paying the government 32 rupees of excise duty.
Yes.
Why, sir,
which is more than the basic price of diesel now, Rahul. So, it is more than the basic price of diesel.
Why cannot this be slashed?
No. Let me answer it first. You see, Supriya is talking about the period when, diesel was heavily subsidized. In 2010, Dr. Manmohan Singh cabinet took two major decisions. One was to decontrol petrol, which was decontrolled immediately, and the cabinet took the decision to decontrol diesel. To decontrol diesel, decision was taken by Dr. Manmohan Singh government. We implemented it. That never went to the cabinet because decision was already there. There were so many other schemes where they had taken the decision which we have been implementing. That's how the government functioned. Dr. Manmohan Singh must have taken the decision in the right wisdom, and I think that was the right decision. So comparison at the time when, Rahul, you would recover, under recovery was the main term used every time because things were subsidized. We are talking a different situation altogether here. And here, I'm just talking of the
No, sir. It's not. No. Narendra Taneja, 1 second. And you're much too smart for your economics to be so warped. This is not about subsidy. Supriya Srinath, hang on for a moment. Hang on for a moment. This is just about the tax that you're taking. Forget the... No, sir. 1 second. Please be very clear about what's at play. It's not just crude oil prices that are going up, which they are. The excise duty that you are charging and the amount that we are having to pay to the central government is also going up. That's the question I'm asking you. Why are we having to pay more to the central government? You didn't reduce it when global crude oil prices come down.
No, listen, you are saying are going up. That's not the correct word. We have not increased since we realized. You see, we increased the excise at the time when crude oil prices had dipped to the extent even $10 per barrel. In some cases, even zero. That was a time in the interest of the economy.
Now pull back. Now pull back.
No, just a minute. That was the time we had to do that. But then you had to look at you had to look at the revenue collection, tax collection since April. Since the tax collection has been hit. Very hard hit, not of the center of the states.
Yeah, but you and I. So 1 second. What about customers?
Just a second.
What about customers? Their increments have also taken a hit. Many have lost jobs. Aren't you worried about them?
No.
How are they supposed to manage?
Let me answer.
Wages have been cut.
Let me answer that. Supriya, I don't. You see, the point here is that right now, when we are holding on to the excise, or for that, when state governments are holding on to that is for the economic security, for the welfare of the same people we are talking about. Because if, for instance, if we cut by 1 rupee and 2 rupees, that will not make any difference. But if you cut more than that, or the states cuts more than that, result would be that many of the welfare schemes.
No, why are you putting pressure on the states to cut? Narendra Taneja, I don't understand your arguments. You're constantly saying Rajasthan should cut. Why can't the central government cut? Supriya Srinath wants to come in. No, because there has to be a point when taxes... No, sir, what am I getting wrong? What am I getting wrong? Why can't the central government pull back central excise duty on petrol products?
No. Let me just one line, Rahul. When you say excise, you know that 41% of that goes to the state. They can say we haven't received this time and that time or this month, and that's it.
Good point. Let me please come in.
Okay, Supriya Srinath wants to counter what you're saying.
41% of excise that's collected goes to state. So when you look at the overall taxes, states are earning more than the center.
I think...
Okay, Supriya.
Okay, let me please come in for the very brief point, Rahul. Mr. Taneja has answered some of the myths that they're trying to spread themselves only. What does he say? The states get a collection. What happened in the budget? 4 rupees and 2.5 rupees is what the cess on petrol and diesel was. What is cess? Money that will be sequestered by the center alone. It will not be shared with the states. So you are squeezing the revenue of the states by changing the excise duty structure, and now you're telling the states to cut. You are the one who's actually keeping that money by increasing 4 and 2.5 rupees. That money could have easily gone into an excise cut, sir. Itni hypocrisy to mat kariye. Also, Rahul, what I have a problem with is the brazen attitude of the government. 11th straight day of hike, all right. But what does the Prime Minister say? He says previous governments are to be blamed. Sir, you are in government for 7 long years. We were importing 130 metric tons.
So you are admitting. So if you are admitting 41% plus for the taxes to collect. Now just sum it up. No, what is the sum of it?
I did not speak
while you were speaking. What is the sum of it?
Just because you don't have an argument doesn't mean you're going to
41% plus state taxes, 36% in Rajasthan. What is the total loss?
Oh, 1 second. I can't have both. No, 1 second. Both. I can't. No, fade us down, please. I can't have both guests speaking at the same time because my aim is not to allow this to degenerate to the level of a banana republic. You may shine through the quality of the argument you make. Try and make sense, not noise. That is important. I want to go across now to Professor Arun Kumar. Give us your perspective on the elbow room that you think the government has to reduce taxes both at the center and at the state. And do bear in mind the points that Narendra Taneja is making, that central revenue mobilization has indeed been hit on account of the COVID crisis, and therefore the government needs to ensure that it squeezes the maximum possible, because Narendra Taneja argues that this money is being used for funding welfare schemes. Arun Kumar.
The first point I'd like to make is that, petroleum goods are basic goods. And when their prices go up, all prices go up, both directly and indirectly. Even say wheat, which is not taxed otherwise, indirect taxes, but because transport costs go up, even wheat prices will go up. So therefore, it's inflationary. Now, as you said in your opening remarks, when it is inflationary, then the poor get hit. It's supposed to be a regressive tax because it's an indirect tax. So the poor people also bear the burden of the tax, and therefore, if you want a welfare, for the poor to improve, then this is not the right way to do it. The question is, yes, the central government did need resources, but is this the only way to raise resources? Indeed not. You could have raised direct taxes. Direct taxes don't fall on the poor people because only about, as the Prime Minister said, 15 million people are effective taxpayers. That's 1.1% of the population. So, you could have raised direct taxes more. And especially, now there is a group of people who benefited enormously during the pandemic, while large number of unorganized sector people have lost out. So if the objective is to actually boost the economy quickly, then you need to raise direct taxes and spend rather than raise indirect taxes and spend. If you do indirect taxes and spend, the rate of growth of the economy will not pick up so much because demand will come down. And when demand comes down, the rate of growth will not go up as much. So my take is that, yes, the government needed resources, there's no doubt, but it could have raised direct taxes. Second is that, the fiscal deficit all over the globe has risen dramatically in this last 1 year. For instance, the US went for a $900 billion package, and before that, the $3 trillion package. So that was 20% of the GDP of the USA. So their fiscal deficit rose to about 22, 23% of the GDP, So we could have also raised it. We have gone up to 9.5%, but if you actually take out the transfer items, we are only gone up to about 7%. So 7% could have been easily raised to 10 or 12%. Exactly. And you could have got at least 3% more, which is more than what you could have got from the petroleum goods price.
So Sanjeev Ahluwalia, respond to the points Professor Kumar and Supriya Srinath make, because the sense is the government is taking citizens for granted because they believe that the opposition is useless, that they can't mobilize and channelize public opinion. Therefore, it doesn't matter. Push it as much as you can, mop up as much revenue as you can, because you need that money to fund your own schemes. And therefore, the government is not keeping in mind the fact that people who are watching this broadcast, citizens of this country, the Aam Aadmi for whom you promised Achhe Din, are actually having to bear the burden of these taxes.
Rahul, let's be clear on the facts because they've got a little clouded. First, the major incidence of this tax is not going to fall on the Aam Aadmi. It's really going to fall on those who use personal vehicles, because that is where, the maximum incidence of this tax will come. It can be marginally, sorry?
So that's all of our audience. That is also a lot of middle class India. People using two-wheelers, three-wheelers. They're the Aam Aadmi. I mean, if you have no sympathy for those who have cars, but what about everybody else? And even those who have cars have suffered as well.
Diesel is the main transport fuel in this country.
Let me complete what I'm saying.
Let him complete. Okay, go on.
That there is when you look at the two-wheeler person, look also at the complete costing of running a two-wheeler. Were there any accolades for the government when the interest rates came down by 3% and that very same two-wheeler person saved 2,000 rupees a year on the interest he was paying on the loan that he had taken? No. So now, this is not an argument that we can win in splinters. There is a tax. It is certainly onersome. The reason why it's onersome is also there, which has to be fixed both by the center and the states. This tax should go into the GST. But which is the government that doesn't want it to go there? It is the state governments. So when we talk of gouging and so on, I think all governments are using this to tax those people who are slightly better off than the vast majority of Indians. Now, as far as international comparisons go, I think they are not of great use in this particular case, because the overall pricing structure of the economy and what the government does with taxes is very different from country to country. As you know, even the electricity prices are very, very differently from country to country. So I personally think that this is, if you look at the budget, there is 1 trillion additional that the FM has sought to raise through the revised estimate, right? So I think everyone knows that the government is strapped for money. taxes have gone up, but I am sanguine that in the new year, the government will moderate the take from this particular tax much more, particularly because the base will be broader. And not as much diesel and petrol is being used this year as is normal. Please remember that also, because we've gone digital. So, because the base is smaller, the rate of imposition of tax has to be higher to equal the revenue, the point that Mr. Taneja was making. Next year, in normal times, the base will expand and you will not need.
Okay, both Supriya Shurnath and Arun Kumar want to counter what you're saying. I'll come to you, Supriya, first.
You know, I hate to say this. I usually never want to counter experts, but Mr. Ahluwalia, I think your logic is quagmired in something that I don't understand, because quite frankly, it's not just the auto loan or the car drivers who are being impacted. Diesel is the main transport fuel. It transports vegetables, milks, all supplies. That is going to see a leg up. Diesel is the main fuel for Indian agriculture. We will see the cost of agriculture go up, which we are already 15,000 per hectare is how the cost of agriculture has gone up under this government. Also, Rahul, one very important study has pointed out 100 billionaires, only 100 billionaires in India during the lockdown period saw their wealth quadruple so much that you can give 14 crore logo ko aap 94,000 rupees, 94,000 rupees per person is what you can pay 14 crore people in this country, given the kind of income increase only 100 people have seen. So regressive taxes are indirect taxes. You are burdening the common man. And let's not get carried away by excise, this, that, whatever. Common man is suffering. What is the government doing about it other than blaming the previous regime?
No, and how are those who ride two-wheelers or three-wheelers or sit in trucks not the Aam Aadmi? You sought their vote. You didn't tell them that I actually care only about the poorest of the poor. I don't particularly care about you because you're slightly better off than the poorest of the poor. Then soon these people will be in the poorest of the poor category as well. You're basically taking people for granted, Narendra Taneja. That nobody will say anything because they love the Prime Minister, they love the government, तो सब शांत बैठेंगे और देते रहेंगे tax.
Rahul, it's not.
Rahul, there are 700 million people to whom food is being distributed.
First of all, Rahul, it's not that simple. First of all, petrol accounts for only 10% of total consumption.
No, but diesel prices are catching up with petrol. There'll be a competition soon on who hits the triple century.
Rahul, be patient, be patient. 10% is only petrol. And diesel also, like Supriya is saying, she's a little out of touch. Now for pumping, for a lot of things, you know, in the rural areas also they are using electric and solar. I'm not saying that diesel is not inflationary, diesel is important, but it's no longer what it used to be 4 years ago.
I'm a farmer.
No,
I'm a farmer, I'm telling you, I'm not out of touch.
I don't like to remember, but let me complete.
Because you sit here in Delhi. I'm a farmer, I'm doing farming right now ever since I quit my job. So I've got further in touch, I'm not out of touch.
Well, Supriya, you can't jump in like this. No, 1 second. Let Narendra Taneja speak. Supriya, this is not fair.
Let me complete. Now the point is, and I hope, Supriya, you will be patient and listen. The point is, the Prime Minister's statement, and which you also played, Prime Minister said, and I can, you know, from 2004 to 2014, Rahul, oil and gas sector we are discussing account for 15% of India GDP. 15%. The most important strategic center of Indian economy. This was completely neglected by UPA 1 and UPA 2. Supriya, I can go oil field by oil field, gas field by gas field, power plant by power plant to prove you wrong. If you attempt to prove
me wrong. But sir, 7 साल से तो आप ही सरकार में हो. 1 second. At some point in time, Narendra Taneja, the NDA government must take stock for what you yourself have done. If you were 7 days in government, 7 weeks in government, 7 months in government, this argument holds. Now, for more than half a decade, you've been in power.
10 seconds, Rahul. We are not talking of, Rahul, Supriya, be patient. We are not talking of a chocolate factory. If you decide to drill oil before oil exploration takes place and the field comes into production, it takes 10 years. They criminally neglected this sector for 10 years, and the country today is paying the price. We are not talking chocolate sector, we are talking oil and gas. Everything is capital intensive. It takes years and years to get it to.
So, but you are still pushing retrospective taxation on some of these companies. Do you think they'll come and invest after what you're doing with them? It's not as if you're being one second, sir. It's not as if you're being very welcoming to these companies.
One second. Very welcoming. If you are referring to Rahul, if you are referring to Cairn Energy when came to India, they had nothing in their bag. We made them billionaires. This country made them billionaires. So I think if the tax has been demanded, let the law take its own course. Here the point is that when it comes to this 10 years of neglect, and country today is paying the price, the poor people are paying the price. Supriya, you are also paying the price for the neglect.
No, Arun Kumar, does this neglect argument hold?
Neglected by you people.
Okay, one second. Stay calm. I can't run a discussion where everyone's speaking at the same time. Arun Kumar, does this argument being put forth by the BJP hold that the UPA is guilty of criminal neglect, that oil fields weren't developed on their watch, enough effort wasn't made to shift consumption from traditional fossil fuels to clean and green energy, and therefore Manmohan Singh is still to blame? Respond.
No, I don't think, you can blame any one government. It is true that, in the mid-80s, we had much larger production from our domestic fields after Bombay High came. But gradually, we did not discover more oil fields. We did not, prospect for them maybe more. But then the NDA 1 was also there before Manmohan Singh's government. So if the 10-year argument holds, then at least, from that point of view, at least by the time this NDA government came, it should have increased, So I don't think that argument really holds because, our problem is R&D. We have not invested enough in technology, and that's why we are not able to prospect. We are not able to extract enough oil, etc., from the ground. And also, we did not shift to alternate energies. We needed to shift to alternate energies, but these are all long-term plans. But my point is that you see the Prime Minister at this point, should say, okay, we'll reduce the taxes because that's the real reason why the prices have gone up. It's not because we did not go for greater self-sufficiency. And also, I'd like to add that, at this time of pandemic, people have to use more personal transport because public transport is not available. And that's why petrol consumption has risen, whereas diesel consumption is what has dropped by 5%, So the point is that, it's hurting the pocket of everybody by they're forced to use more personal transportation.
And Sanjeev Ahluwalia, this other argument that's being made that this will speed up the adoption of electric vehicles is a bit far-fetched because to fix my future, you can't kill me in the present. In the manner in which taxes are going up, at some point in time, you need to start rationalizing and yes, of course, create policy incentives that push people towards ensuring that their next vehicle is an electric vehicle.
Rahul, there's no doubt about the fact that, taxes should be predictable and they should be by and large steady and not jumpy in their incidence. And if they become jumpy, then that's what's called gouging. So that is 100% right. And I think there is no doubt about the fact that for a long time now, petrol prices have been jumping all over the place and every government is part of the problem. However, having said that, I do believe that, a developed country is one in which it's not that people have personal transport, but they have public transport.
So, but right now we can't use public transport because of the pandemic.
No, the pandemic is look, public transport is being used and it will be used in future. That's why I'm saying this is not a scenario forever. The tax that you see today is not something that will necessarily last even for a year. If you look at the budget, the incidence next year of the very same taxes is lower than it's going to be this year. So I'm pretty sure that the government will moderate accordingly. So it's not a year-long issue. It's a spike, it's a short spike, and it will go away. And hopefully also when the price of oil steadies in the international market. Right now, the Biden government has withdrawn some licenses out of New Mexico, and shale gas and shale oil has been affected. So there are a lot of short-term factors.
No, but that's why the central government must cut its taxes, because what's happened is Saudi Arabia has cut output by 1 million barrels through February and March to boost oil prices. Russia, which is a part of OPEC, has cut production by 9.7 million barrels per day. So if this is happening till it continues, you can't blame OPEC and these oil-producing countries, Mr. Taneja. You must take part of the responsibility and help citizens. Why should the citizens have to bear all the burden?
And
Rahul, you see, I am all for tax rationalization.
Sources of revenue.
You see, I am all for tax rationalization. We need to do that. But right now, the kind of economic situation that we are facing at the center and various state level, I think coming 3-4 months, the tax revenue, overall economic health of the country would be much better. Revenue collection would have gone up, both of the center and the state government. And by wholesale, the hard winter probably will be out of the way. Crude oil prices would have dropped. So in about 3 months'
No, you don't know
time,
that. You don't know that. 1 second, sir. 1 second. You're confidently predicting that oil prices would come down. You don't know that. I don't know that.
No. Let me tell you. You see, of course, you are. I mean, if you argue on that line that nobody knows, yes, nobody knows. But you see, I've tracked this thing for a long time, and I can say with reasonable confidence in 3 months' time, prices will come down for a short period of time.
So in which case you can increase taxes again, tab tak to kam karo.
No. Listen, Rahul, the point is that if you reduce, let's say, Rahul, for the sake of discussion, if you reduce by 5 rupees excise, and states are asked to reduce also if they can, and the companies can reduce, the point is everybody is going to suffer. The point, what do you gain?
Who's going to suffer? 1 second. If your oil companies suffer, why is it my headache? How does it matter if your oil company? Who will suffer?
Listen.
Who will suffer? Sir, I will benefit if taxes come down. How will the Aam Aadmi suffer? I don't understand if prices come down by 5-10 rupees.
Rahul, let me. You see, the point is that I'm saying the economy will suffer, the Aam Aadmi will suffer, because economics is for the economic security of the Aam Aadmi.
So who is this Aam Aadmi? 1 second. When you asked for votes, did you say that only if you are completely garib are you my voter? Did you not ask middle India for votes? Did you not ask middle class people for their votes? How is it that their votes don't matter? Who is this Aam Aadmi you speak about? When you go to the polls and ask for votes, then we are also your Aam Aadmi. Later we are not your Aam Aadmi.
No. You see, the point is, when we talk of Aam Aadmi, Rahul, Aam Aadmi are the people who are not watching your channel. You see, I understand majority of viewers are middle class. I understand and respect that. But the point here is, for us, Aam Aadmi is also the person.
So basically, the middle class doesn't matter. That's the point. That is the point, sir. That is the point I made at the beginning of the show. That you are taking middle class India for granted.
Whose household income.
Yes, but you don't say this during an election.
No. In fact, no.
Please tell the people of Bengal that if you are watching India Today, or if you have a TV or if you have a car, you are not worried about them.
Who are the frontline beneficiaries of renewable energy? Who are the frontline, beneficiaries of petroleum and natural gas? It's the middle class. People like you and me, Rahul.
Sir, to fix our future, you are killing us in the present.
No, we are not killing. No.
Sir,
we are giving you long-term economic security.
If petrol and diesel starts hitting a century and you are saying you're not killing us, I don't understand. If I start quoting back to you what the likes of Arun Jaitley, what the likes of Sushma Swaraj, what the likes of Prime Minister Modi, who at that time was Chief Minister of Gujarat, said when fuel prices were much lower than they are now. You need to hold a mirror, look at it in the face, see what you said in the past, and remember that it's the same people who are suffering at this time, Mr. Taneja.
No, middle class, Rahul, listen. If you say the middle class is suffering because the petrol price has gone up, diesel for short-term period, yes, I'm also middle class. There is a little bit of stress on the pocket, little.
Sir, maybe a little bit of stress on your pocket, but a big stress. Sir, on your pocket it may be a little stress, on most people's pocket it's a big stress. Supriya Srinath wants to come in and make a point. Supriya, little bit of stress, jail lo thoda sa.
And for a very short period.
Supriya.
नहीं क्यों झेल ले? जब हमारी सरकार थी तो कहीं बाहर से विदेशी आ गए थे, तब भी तो भारतीय झेल रहे थे. वो आर्गुमेंट ही नहीं है. We were making an argument about public transport. I want to ask Mr. Taneja and through him this government. Yes, everybody wants to use public transport. I travel to Maharajganj by train, but do you know Indian Railways right now is plying only 65% capacity? Why are trains not returning on tracks? Airlines are in full capacity. Cabs can ply, cars can ply. Everything can go in this country, but not the Indian Railways, because the routes need to be privatized. और आपको ये पता है कि अब आपको minimum किलोमीटर 500 किलोमीटर का ही टिकट मिलेगा. उससे कम अगर आप 200 किलोमीटर चल रहे हैं तो उसका टिकट नहीं मिलेगा. Why are you fleecing the common man at every juncture? Everybody wants to take public transport. Make trains available. That's point number one. 7,000 high net worth individuals. Sir, 1 second. 7,000 high net worth individuals have left this country and gone and invested last year in other shores.
Okay.
That is the result of your policy.
I'm out of time on this broadcast. Mr. Taneja, I just want to end by saying this. That it may be pinching you just a little bit, it's pinching us quite a lot. Think about us, not about your pocket, think about our pocket. and slash taxes because it's reached a point where the Janta is saying enough is enough.
Just one line, Rahul.
I'm out of time, so make it quick.
Where are all those people? भाई
Rahul,
जो
one
आपके
line.
नेता लोग बोलते थे पेट्रोल डीजल पर?
What we are doing is we are doing for the welfare of the Aam Aadmi and the middle class Indian and for the economic security of the country.
So next time when you do an election, you please tell us that we are not Aam Aadmi, that the middle class doesn't matter, that if you have a car, if you have a two-wheeler, if you have a three-wheeler, if you have a truck, it doesn't matter. Okay, I'm out of time.
Wait for 3 months.
Wait for 3 months, sir. We are hitting a century. God knows where we'll be. The Sensex and fuel prices are rising at the same time. It's a problem. And I think the time has come when the government needs to realize that you can't take middle class India for granted. You can't just imagine that fuel prices will keep going up and everybody will just smile and say, oh, you guys are doing a great job, and it doesn't matter, because it does. For Mr. Taneja, it's a small problem. For people who are watching and for those who are out in the streets, a big problem. Please think of their pockets, not your own. We'll slip into a break. I'll have more for you on the other side.
Hi everyone, Preeti Chaudhary here. Hope you like this video. For latest news and analysis, like and subscribe to the India Today YouTube channel. And don't forget to press the bell icon to stay updated. Thank you for watching.